Hello, what is up guys? Today I'll be doing a video on an interesting concept that I wanted to experiment with. So, if you don't know, there's this thing called Formula 1.5, which is basically removing the top 3 teams from the championship and then having all the other teams and seeing who wins the championship, the Drivers' Championship and the Constructors' Championship. Now, this started in 2020 on Reddit because people were bored and didn't know what to do, so they made that. And if I recall correctly, so far 2020 was Ricciardo, and the last 2 years it has been Lando Norris who won it. However, I got curious because we have all these F1.22 mods for Assetto Corsa, which are the actual unique cars and are not something generic like RSS. I wanted to test that out and see exactly what could happen, so that's what I've done. I've gone into Assetto Corsa. I've installed all of these different mods, Same Dream, independent mods, whatever. And I've done simulations for every single race except one, which I'm gonna touch upon, though you may already know which one that is. Seeing what the results are from the race and calculated the Drivers' Championship and also the Constructors' Championship. So basically the way that this works is I've taken the qualifying results from real life and I've use them to set the grid, and then I just let the AI race each other and we see what the results are at the end. Then we use the point system from real life F1 and we see what the drivers and constructors standings are by the end of the year, or well, this fictional year. So without further ado, let's actually look into the results finally. So race 1 was won by Kevin Magnussen, followed by Fernando Alonso and Lando Norris. Then Pierre Gasly and Lance Stroll finish off the top 5, and the rest are Daniel Ricciardo, Mick Schumacher, Sebastian Vettel, Yuki Tsunoda and Nicholas Latifi, the absolute GOAT. Then for race 2, the race winner was Valtteri Bottas, didn't retire in this one. Second was Esteban Ocon, and Guan Yu Zhou finished P3, so it was a double Alfa Romeo podium. Fernando Alonso follows suit. Then Lando Norris rounds off the top 5, and the rest is Mick Schumacher, Pierre Gasly, Kevin Magnussen, Lance Stroll, and Daniel Ricciardo gets the final points. Then for race 3. In race 3, Daniel Ricciardo wins it in Australia, in his home turf, which is nice to see. Esteban Ocon finishes P2 again, and Pierre Gasly finishes in P3, so good result for Gasly. Lando Norris finishes 4th, and Fernando Alonso finishes in 5th. Great result as well. That's the top 5. The rest is Yuki Tsunoda, Valtteri Bottas, Mick Schumacher, Nicholas Latifi, the absolute GOAT, and Kevin Magnussen. Next up, at Emilia-Romagna, Lando Norris takes the race win, followed by Daniel Ricciardo, so McLaren 1-2, followed by Valtteri Bottas. God damn it. Then Guan Yu Zhou in 4th, and Fernando Alonso once again P5, with the rest of the top 10 being Kevin Magnussen, Mick Schumacher, Nicholas Latifi P8, the absolute GOAT, Sebastian Vettel and Yuki Tsunoda rounding off the top 10. In round 5 at Miami, the winner was Valtteri Bottas, followed by Pierre Gasly and Yuki Tsunoda, so a AlphaTauri podium, that's very good. Then followed by Lando Norris and Guan Yu Zhou finishes 5th. Then the rest of the top 10 is Lance Stroll, Fernando Alonso, Mick Schumacher, Daniel Ricciardo and Nicholas Latifi scores points again. Then round 6 at Spain, we have Valtteri Bottas winning again another race, Kevin Magnussen 2nd and Mick Schumacher 3rd, so that was a double Haas podium as well. Followed then by Esteban Ocon and Lando Norris finishing in 5th. The rest is as follows: Daniel Ricciardo, Pierre Gasly, Sebastian Vettel, Zhou Guanyu and Alexander Albon finally scoring points. Hasn't been a great season so far. Then around Monaco, here's the exception. Here I literally just took the qualifying results because no matter how many times I tried to simulate the race, it just didn't work, so I decided to just take the qualifying results. So basically, Lando Norris wins in parentheses, not parentheses, in air quotes. Lando Norris wins the race, followed by Alonso and Vettel on the podium, Esteban Ocon 4th and Tsunoda 5th, with the rest of the top 10 being Valtteri Bottas, Kevin Magnussen, Daniel Ricciardo, Mick Schumacher and Alexander Albon. Then we have Azerbaijan, where Pierre Gasly won the race, followed by Yuki Tsunoda, so a podium for both AlphaTauri drivers, that's very good, and Sebastian Vettel in third. Then Lando Norris and Fernando Alonso fifth, finishing off the top 5. And the rest of the top 10 is Guan Yu Zhou, Alexander Albon, great result for him, Esteban Ocon, Valtteri Bottas and Nicholas Latifi, the absolute GOAT. Then for Canada, the winner was Mick Schumacher, believe it or not. First win of the season, followed by Fernando Alonso and Daniel Ricciardo. Then Guan Yu Zhou in 4th and Lando Norris in 5th. This which rounds off the top 5, and then the top 10, the rest is Esteban Ocon, Lance Stroll, Yuki Tsunoda, Pierre Gasly and Valtteri Bottas. Then in Great Britain, unbelievably, Nicholas Latifi won the race, followed by Lando Norris and Guan Yu Zhou in 3rd, so the GOAT. Then Fernando Alonso in 4th and Pierre Gasly in 5th. With the rest of the top 10 being Alexander Albon, so it was just really good for Williams this simulator race. Tsunoda in P7, Daniel Ricciardo 8th, Sebastian Vettel 9th, and Mick Schumacher gaining at 1 point in P10. Then around Austria, another Williams win, for this time for Alexander Albon, followed by Kevin Magnussen and Mick Schumacher, so very good race for the Hasses as well. Then followed by Valtteri Bottas in 4th and Esteban Ocon in 5th. Then the rest is Fernando Alonso, Daniel Ricciardo, Pierre Gasly, Zhou Guanyu and Nicholas Latifi, still scoring points, which is very good. Then around France, the winner was Lando Norris, followed by Fernando Alonso, and then Kevin Magnussen on the podium again. Then followed by Valtteri Bottas in 4th and Yuki Tsunoda in 5th, with the rest being Esteban Ocon, Zhou Guanyu, Alexander Albon, Daniel Ricciardo and Nicholas Latifi. Around Hungary, Bottas won the race, and by quite a lot from what I remember, followed by Lance Stroll in 2nd and Lando Norris in 3rd, followed by Alonso in 4th and Alexander Albon in 5th, so great result for him as well. Then the rest is Daniel Ricciardo, Zhou Guanyu, Kevin Magnussen, Yuki Tsunoda and Pierre Gasly. Then around Belgium, the race winner was Esteban Ocon, first win of this season, followed by Fernando Alonso, so Alpine 1-2, followed by Lando Norris, and then Daniel Ricciardo, and then Pierre Gasly in 5th, with the rest being Zhou Guanyu, Nicholas Latifi, Sebastian Vettel, Yuki Tsunoda and Lance Stroll getting 1 point. Now, around Zandvoort, Mick Schumacher won his 2nd race of the year, followed by Lando Norris and Pierre Gasly. After that, Esteban Ocon in 4th and Tsunoda finishing 5th, with the rest of the top 10 being Nicholas Latifi, Daniel Ricciardo, Lance Stroll, Sebastian Vettel and Valtteri Bottas. Then around Monza, Lando Norris won the race, followed by Daniel Ricciardo, so 2nd McLaren 1-2 of the season, followed by Esteban Ocon in 3rd and Pierre Gasly in 4th, with Zhou Guanyu finishing off in the top 5. With Alex Albon being 6th, Sebastian Vettel 7th, Kevin Magnussen 8th, Valtteri Bottas 9th, and Fernando Alonso 10th. Around Singapore, Sebastian Vettel, the Singapore Lion, wins the race, followed by Zhou Guanyu and Lando Norris in 3rd, with Pierre Gasly 4th and Alexander Albon finishing 5th. Lance Stroll finishes 6th, Latifi finished 7th, Valtteri Bottas 8th, Kevin Magnussen 9th and Daniel Ricciardo finishing off the top 10. Around Japan, Esteban Ocon won the race again, making it the 2nd race win of the season, with Alonso 2nd, so another Alpine 1-2. And Daniel Ricciardo this time finished 3rd, with Guan Yu Zhou 4th and Alexander Albon again finishing 5th, so another great result for Albon. Then Yuki Tsunoda, Mick Schumacher, Pierre Gasly, Sebastian Vettel and Lance Stroll finishes off the top 10. Then around US of A, Lance Stroll won the race, followed by Lando Norris and Fernando Alonso in 3rd, with Valtteri Bottas 4th and Sebastian Vettel in 5th, so really good overall from Aston Martin, I guess. Pierre Gasly finished 6th, Zhou Guanyu 7th, Nicholas Latifi 8th, Kevin Magnussen 9th and Ocon finishing the top 10. Then around Mexico, it was a resurgent Bottas finally winning another race, followed by Zhou Guanyu, so the first and I think only Alfa Romeo 1-2 of the entire season then followed by Fernando Alonso and Lando Norris, with Ocon finishing the top 5. After that, it's Nicholas Latifi, Yuki Tsunoda, Sebastian Vettel, Alexander Albon, and Pierre Gasly. Then, around Sao Paulo or Brazil, Ocon wins another race for the season, followed by Lando Norris and Fernando Alonso, with Gasly finishing 4th and Kevin Magnussen finishing 5th. Then 6th was Nicholas Latifi, 7th was Alexander Albon, so good for the Williams. Daniel Ricciardo was 8th, Zhou Guanyu 9th, and Sebastian Vettel 10th. And then finally, for Abu Dhabi, Lando Norris won the race, followed by Sebastian Vettel, the absolute GOAT, finishing 2nd in his final race in F1, followed by Esteban Ocon. Then Lance Stroll and 4th, so really good for Aston in general, and Fernando Alonso 5th. Very good performance for Aston. Then we have Daniel Ricciardo 6th, Nicholas Latifi the GOAT 7th, Zhou Guanyu 8th, Valtteri Bottas 9th, and finally Yuki Tsunoda finished in 10th position. And so, after an entire season of intense racing, how does the championship stand? Well, Lando Norris took the title in the end with 335 points, absolutely gapping P2 of Fernando Alonso, who had only 244 points. Almost 100 points more for Norris, despite everything, which is insane if you think about it. Then Esteban Ocon finishes P3 with 219 points, closely followed by Valtteri Bottas, who finished with 202 points, whom, by the way, was actually kind of leading the championship at one point. That's kind of sad how it went. Pierre Gasly finishes P5 in the end with 173 points, and Zhou Guanyu finishes P6 with 166 points. Daniel Ricciardo finishes P7 with 165 points, literally 1 point lower than Zhou. Then Mick Schumacher and Magnussen finish P8 and P9, but they have the exact same points tally of 117. Sebastian Vettel finished P10 with 114 points, nearly overtook them after a really bad start for Aston Martin. P11 went to Yuki Tsunoda with 103 points. Lance Stroll finished with 95 points and in 12th position. And then the pair of the Williams brothers finished in 13th and 14th, with Albon having 91 points and Latifi having 82 points. As for the Constructors' Championship, McLaren took it with exactly 500 points, which is pretty impressive, followed by Alpine with 463 points. P3 went to Alfa Romeo with 368. They really struggled to crack the 400, as you can tell. AlphaTauri ended up P4 with 276 points. Haas finished in the end P5 with 234 points. Aston Martin finished with 209 points. Again, sign that they were trying to catch Haas at the end. And P7, of course, goes to Williams with 173 points, so they can even crack 200 in the end, which was pretty unfortunate for them. And yeah, that's it. So let me know what you think. I think it was pretty fun simulating this. I was hoping it would be a bit more interesting, but for some reason, even in this fantasy thing, Lando Norris still dominated the championship. And also McLaren, they were actually pretty close, because Daniel Ricciardo, just like real life, wasn't having a great time, which is not ideal. But yeah, that was the video. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. Bye!